This is a regular meeting of the City of Callaway Board of Commissioners. It is Tuesday, August 11th, 2026 at 6 p.m. You will stand with me, Commissioner Burke, so we get these to the indication tonight. Commissioner Briggs, lead us in the pledge.
Thank you guys so much for allowing us the opportunity to represent our city in these matters. Pray that we would use wisdom that you provide us in all of our decisions. Thank you for the people of Callaway trusting us with this and continue blessing us throughout this year. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, please do a roll call.
Commissioner Burkson?
Present.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Here.
Commissioner Ayers?
Here, man.
Mayor Anderson?
Here. Okay, we have a couple of presentations tonight. First, we have Deputy Aaron Martin doing the Lake County Sheriff's Office July statistics. I swapped on it.
All right, for the month of July, we had 1,070 calls for service, 25,127 miles patrolled, 55 arrests, 152 traffic stops, 134 citations, and then a grand total of 53 traffic accidents. 10 of them were parking lot related, 43 of them were not, and 7th Street and Tyndall Parkway was the highest intersection with 9 crashes occurring at that intersection. And that is all I have.
So 53 instead of 44.
There is a total of 53
Okay.
in Callaway.
Just more than double what it was.
Somehow, there was an issue with counting the parking lots, and I don't know how they were still one off, but it was an issue with parking lots not categorizing what they should have. So we hand counted them, and there were 53.
Anybody have any other questions?
It's a citations accurate?
Yes, 134 citations and 152 traffic stops.
Are they driving down the road?
I'm expecting it to be bad or worse for the next couple of weeks with everybody rushing with school starting back. But as a general whole, yes, I have seen an improvement. But everybody be patient with us for the next couple of weeks, because I can tell you Monday was unnerving for a lot of people.
Very good.
Thank you. Okay, our next presentation is this Charlotte Lynn here by any chance? Saying, well, she is the winner of our Yard of the Month for this month. She lives at 7003 Cherry Street. So if you happen to be down Cherry Street, please look at her home. It's very lovely. And we will see that she gets her sign and her certificate. Okay, that will take us on to the various instructions. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda? City Manager.
Yes, we're requesting you to add an agenda item for grant administration services for the city.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Motion to add agenda.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that item will be added. Anything else, City Manager? Okay, and as far as public participation, on each word, public can speak on any of the agenda items or all of the agenda items if they so choose. When I call for public participation, just raise your hand that you would like to speak. When you recognize, come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record if you so choose, and then your 3 minutes will start. At the end of the meeting, we have a section for public participation on non-agenda items. So if there's something you want to talk about that we haven't already discussed in the meeting, same process, and you have 3 minutes for your non-agenda item. So with that, we will go on to approval of the minutes. We've got the minutes of the July 28th budget workshop and the July 28th regular meeting. So does anybody have any comments or questions on any of either of those minutes?
No.
And if not, I would entertain a motion to approve either one or both.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, the minutes are approved, and we will go on to our first item, which is resolution 26-08, request to abandon a 20-foot unused easement at 7043 Q Drive. And these first 2 items do require a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing. And city attorney.
Okay, this is resolution 2608, a resolution of the city of Callaway, Florida, abandoning, releasing, and vacating a 20-foot easement lying within the boundaries of Lot 18, Callaway Shores, Unit 1, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 10, page 81 of the Public Records of Bay County, Florida. Located at 7043 Hugh Drive, Callaway, Florida, providing for severability, repealing resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
City manager.
This particular easement was created in 1969. It actually was not even on our GIS map. We didn't even know it existed. So they petitioned for us to go ahead and abandon it. It's never been used for anything. Of course, we didn't really even know it was there till we built
Not really.
it. So just go ahead and get it off our books.
This one's actually located on their lot, so it's not like a right of way where it's in between and both property owners. This is on their lot.
Okay.
So it would just, the property would go to them. I remember we looked at this a couple of years ago, this neighborhood down Hugh Drive, we had that. So we do have, the city
Airport
has,
right around the corner.
yeah, the city has access over there. They're like on the right of way about 2 lots down. So I can't imagine the city would ever need this one when it got 2 lots down.
It's just neat. It's not this way.
So as little as we know about it, we don't know why it was an easement in the first place.
I mean, it was, when they recorded the plat, they put it on the plat, probably just to continue the drive straight away to maybe if we needed it for drainage or something, but if you
Well, that's what I was
kind
thinking.
of followed the road down, it kind of stubbed out a road. And so some engineer in 1969 decided it'd be a good idea.
We had drainage elsewhere over there. We didn't need that.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions?
I was only 1 year old.
Okay, if nobody up here has anything, would anybody in the audience like to comment on the easement? Yes, ma'am.
Karen Custer, 216 Mighty Road Drive. One thought that I had about the purpose of the easement is in a number of places, they'll put in an easement like this. In this case, it would be to allow people to walk across Hugh Drive to go down to the bayou or to ride their bikes down. Are we sure that nobody uses this? You know, the kids don't go walk down, they don't ride their bikes or anything like that. That's just something to think of, because that may be why it's there, for the convenience of the people who live in the subdivision. Thank you.
Well, in easement, the property owner still owns it. It just means that we have access to get on it for whatever the purpose was. If it was drainage, it would be for us to get on there to mow, to keep it up there. But technically, it still belongs to that property owner. So we have a lot of easements for utilities that actually runs to people's yard, but that don't mean people can walk through your yard. You can put a fence across an easement. It just means if the city has something there that we need to maintain, we can maintain it, but it's not right of way.
Or this neighborhood has that park parcel.
Mm-hmm.
one lot over right there, and it's got the Mike Lane right away, so you've got plenty of public access to the body.
I'm sorry, Mr. Belhack.
Well, that was an interesting little discussion on the side there. It provided a little bit of insight. Paul Bohack, 7010 Mike Lane. I've lived in Callaway Shores since 1983. My neighbor told me easy access to the bayou was via an easement the city had at the end of Mike Lane across Hugh Drive. I just had to stay close to the fence on the property line to the right. I fished off that easement several times, but when I bought my canoe, I found that easement had been abandoned and a gate installed. Now there's a request to abandon another easement, one that provides easy access to the bayou, one that offers an opportunity to launch a kayak or a canoe, especially for someone of my age. Certainly, it would be easier to do so at 7043 Hugh Drive than is possible currently at the end of Oak Race Road. The applicant suggests it has not been used. Probably true. In the absence of indication that it is not private property, most residents in the area would not trespass. Had it been identified as city property or access through city property, riffraff such as myself would probably have been driving down that piece of land to fish the bayou for years. The easement has already been fenced in the absence of commission approval. I find such arrogance appalling. Affirming Henry David Thoreau's belief in a majority of one, I respectfully oppose this request on behalf of those of us who have refrained out of courtesy and a lack of knowledge to an easy, heretofore before, unknown second access to the bayou. Thank you. Oh, I did it in less than 3 minutes.
Did anybody else want to
Yeah, and I mean, this plat just says 20-foot easement, period, and it's not even dedicated, it's not even dedicated, so I can't sit there and tell you what it was for, whether it's for utilities, drainage, or anything, because it's, they said streets, alleys, and roads are dedicated to the public. It doesn't say where this 20-foot easement goes.
But I think what he's saying is the difference in a right-of-way and an easement. Right-of-way is city property, that you gotta, it's in front of somebody's home, but it's still city property. An easement is the property of the property owner.
That person owns
It's
it.
just that the city can get on it to do utilities.
They
That
own it,
doesn't
right.
mean it's there for citizens to access.
Thank you.
I think that's what he's trying to differentiate between an easement and a right-of-way.
Typically, yeah, depends. If this easement was specifically, ingress, egress to the public, yeah, but it's not. It just says 20-foot easement. And you do have work, that Mike Lane right away, and also you've got the park right there to the north. Right.
But that's the difference. It's an easement, not a right-of-way.
Right, the city
And
has
an
that.
easement is private property. It just, the city has the right to go on it, but not citizens, because it's part of this guy's property. I know there's an easement across the street from me, there's an easement between two houses that goes to the lake. But that's so the city can get in there and do utility work. Those two homeowners don't want people going down between their houses to get to the lake. It is their property.
Not to mention, we have a great boat ramp that you can launch your
Well,
boats and canoes and all
But I
that.
mean, that's,
Well, Paul, what you were talking about, was city property. And, that's why you were using it. And, I think this was addressed, 6 or 7 years ago that was brought up. And we allowed them to, the board then allowed them to put that gate across there.
Conversation we went back and forth.
yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Because we did have a lot of people upset about that.
because that one was a right of way.
Right. So there was no easy acceptable water.
Yeah, that's
And
right,
cliff drop off.
that's right, that's right. But that's why we're not taking anything away from the citizens. They, if anybody was accessing, they were going to that gentleman George to it. Yeah. So did anybody else? Anybody in the audience have any comment, or anybody up here would like to make a motion?
Motion to approve resolution 26-08, requesting to abandon a 20-foot unused easement at 7043 Q Drive.
Second.
We've got a motion in a second. If there's no further discussion, please vote.
Commissioner Bertha,
Yes.
Commissioner Briggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, then we'll go on to item 2, St. Joe Developers Agreement for Capacity. I think this one goes straight to City Manager.
Mr. Owens. Jesse, can you pass that on?
Okay, so last commission meeting, discussed about the agenda. We saw that it needed to be advertised 7 days out for a development agreement. Under statute, you have to have 2 public hearings with 7 days notice. So we, noticed the first hearing for tonight, and the purpose of tonight is to, again, have a public hearing to hear public input, have the commissioners review and give discussion on this. And then the only thing we need to do, we don't need to vote on this tonight, but we do need to announce the date, time, and place of the second public hearing with no time limit on it necessarily. But yeah, for tonight, it's just to review and discuss and hear input on this agreement, and then pick a date for the next public hearing. When I saw it on the agenda last time, I did go through and revise it for statutory compliance, so we added some language in there about the requirement for the notices and some statutory things in there. But I specifically kind of withheld any sort of substantive revisions until I heard from, the commission. Because obviously, I don't get a vote, so substantively, if you think it's a fair deal or good deal, let me know. There's a few things that I would put in here, defaults and remedies, sort of tighten up the assignment, put some dispute resolutions and basic things like that we can go back on. But, really it's just to hear from the public and hear from you guys on, the substance of it and make changes that you want. And then we can make a revision, go back to St. Joe, and then set it for another hearing. I know Ray Greer is here on behalf of the developer. And Eddie has the background on it as far as the park parcel and the road parcel and things like that. We can tighten up.
Well, and, as y'all know, St. Joe, we've had many discussions about Kimbrell. One of these things that the agreement does, and this is external to their development, but they are offering us right away at Kimbrell all the way to Gold Coast Parkway, which we will eventually need. That's going to be a developable area at some point. We know that Kimbrell's going to have to be completely redone because we're going to have to most likely there'll have to be a large lift station there that will attach down Kimbrell to our force main on 22 to be able to service that area. Probably some water upgrades, and they are also offering us, is it 23 acres, is that right?
25.
Yeah, 25 acres for what we would like to say is a new soccer complex. We are outgrowing our soccer fields very diligently. Also, as y'all know, we're now home to the LAX soccer team. They're also wanting to partner with this project as we move forward, and so they are offering us 25 acres for us to develop. And I think, Kevin, there was some language that you want to talk about for that, or?
Yeah, and just to back up, the big picture of this, a lot of development agreements come forward, and the purpose is to sort of lock in a mixture of land uses, densities, and intensities. That's not what this agreement is trying to do. Basically, they want the city to reserve water and sewer capacity for 750 ERCs, which is basically houses or units, reserve water and sewer capacity. And in exchange for that reservation, instead of, writing us a check for, capacity fee or something like that, up now, they say, we'll give you a road right away, and we'll give you 25 acres for this park complex. The one thing I was thinking of is, hey, let's tighten this up, make sure it's, good land, it's developable, Ray mentioned that you might have already picked out a site.
We've seen several.
Sort of, okay,
We've just
well, I mean,
seen
it's,
several.
that's one of the things, like, we can either tighten it up and make sure it's, there's good land, good site conditions, or if you have something identified, let's put that in here.
Yeah, and, one of the things is why we left it kind of, the language like this, it's, on the Kimberly extension, for the 25 acres is, that area has not been delineated, and it hasn't been surveyed, but that's the whole coordination part. And, we were given the layout and an approximation of where you wanted it, and that would fit in that area, so. Our thought was we would leave it, and, we can type the language up however you want, but, given the general vicinity area where you want it. So you can, you don't need 20 acres of wetlands on Steel Park. So, I'm saying that is why we left it. So when that time comes, that area can be delineated and boundary surveyed and then turned over to you, which would be a coordinated effort between San Joe County and the city for the actual park location.
Do we need to talk about the 25 acres being contiguous?
Yeah, it would be contiguous. Would have to be.
Because it's written here, it's technically still mutually acceptable. They can't just pick out acres for you.
Or Burke?
I would make a comment, Ed made a comment that, we've been working on this for quite a while. Very honestly, we've been working on Kimball going to the Parkway, et cetera. I've been working on that for 7 years. And it's, but we've been trying to do these things, and a lot of things you have to do in the background. Very honestly, people out there didn't know what was going on. And I didn't realize we were really going to be bringing this up until I saw you added that into this document here. So it's all good, and very honestly, it protects the developer from somebody 10 years from now deciding somebody up here or a group of people up here 10 years from now, oh, we don't want that, that kind of thing. We run into some of that now with projects we're trying to get approved. So this protects them on that, but it also gives us things within the city, land, roads, dollars, and everything, and this is our service area. So, and it's gonna be up to you as an engineer to try to figure out where to put all that water that's in there.
Yeah, and it's an important part too. All the impact fees, this does nothing with impact fees, so every house will pay the same impact fees. This is only reserve capacity.
And special capital extensions.
Yeah. So the reserve capacity, it works both ways. So you would reserve it, and it's a scale reserve as it goes on, but then if something happens and that development doesn't happen or it stops, that capacity will come back to the city. So it does have a way that if development just stopped, never happened, or if it started and stopped, the capacity would come back.
Well, we've actually asked a question about, because I know with the AWT, we have a certain amount, Callaway has a certain amount reserved. That's why we put in the 7,000 units of, years ago with water and sewer extension. And that comes out of the capacity because that's being filled up. That's, I don't think water is an issue for that, but sewer could be, particularly the way that there are other cities, particularly Panama City, up Star Avenue, everything that's going on up there, that a lot of capacity is going to take place. But Callaway, as I understand it, has plenty of capacity for actually this project and all that. That's something for Bill and Eddie to bring up. So capacity is not an issue for us. But we do know, sooner probably than later, we're gonna have to expand the AWT.
Where, yeah, the county's looking at that now for future planning. We're expanding, as you know, the cities, several of the cities, and California is one of them, are in an agreement. Basically, y'all own the military point plant, y'all are partners on that, and you have a lot of capacities. Hamilton City has a very small amount. Hamilton City actually has their own, they have 2 sewer plants they operate, and their problems that they're having in Hamilton City North is associated with those 2 plants. So that will not affect military point plant at all.
Oh,
None of the from up there comes down here.
Yeah.
We're separate.
we're separate.
We're separate.
So our flows are separate from their flows.
That's
Yes, yeah, they go to 2 different places. 3, the city goes to 2 different places.
And I thought that was one of the things, and we've been working on this for months now, was that my biggest fear was we'd get in, we'd give it away, and then if something happens in the economy, or if they decide not to build, we're just locked out. So that was one of the things that we worked on coming forward, that as long as they're building, they can keep getting their capacity. If they shut down and stop, then their capacity comes back.
Yeah, but this is a 30-year agreement.
Yeah, 163.
30-year agreement.
30 years.
And I think they have the reverter is,
I mean,
the reverter is 5-year increments. So that's,
So, 5 years.
yeah, so if they, I get most people get development order, 2 years, I get an extension. So right now it's got a 5-year reverter. It's abandoned their development order or whatever, we get that chunk of capacity back.
Yeah, we don't have to wait 30 years to find out.
I was gonna table this because I had some discussions with city manager a couple of weeks ago. First of all, Commissioner, who are we? Who are you saying we've been anticipating this? Who's been working this? This is the first I've heard of all of this, and I've been on this commission for 10 years. Who is we? I'm asking you, who is we? There's stuff going on that I'm not aware of. You're saying we've been aware of this, and who is we?
Okay, well, very honestly, concerning the road, and that's it. I wasn't involved in the soccer field, that, until recently.
Yeah. But you were involved and none of the rest on this commission was, so again, our city manager is not communicating with this commission. Maybe he's communicating with everybody else and I'm left out in the blue, I don't know. But again, I just wanted to know who is we, so,
I can clarify a little bit. We've talked about Kimbrell in the low-lying areas for many, many years, and that we wanted it to go all the way up and eventually tap Gulf Coast Parkway. Now that's not anything that's been hidden. We talked about this in meetings. We talked about where the curb cuts would be, that it would actually be right across from where the paving that is a tram road comes in and touches Gulf Coast Parkway, that we would be directly across and coming due south. So, those things we've talked about in commission meetings and budget meetings and all sorts of stuff about, at some point we're gonna need to start looking at that, when that develops. If not, just know that it's coming and it's something we're gonna have to do and be looking forward to. So, when St. Joe came forward, there was, in the beginning, there was, hey, you know what, we sure do need another soccer complex. It wasn't until this agreement was written that I knew for sure that they were going to offer us that. And so that's just, honestly, a new soccer complex, that's just a little icing on the cake.
And it's been recently agreed upon.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah, in the last 2 to 3 months. I really can't come up here and say, I don't want to spoil or get anybody's hopes up whenever I didn't have anything in my hand that actually said, yeah, we're going to do this to you. It was just discussions across the table.
And I think we talked about the road back when we made that part of our service area.
That's
I remember
correct.
it was something we had to do
That's right.
to make that our service, and we talked about the road at that time.
As far as the road and all, we were going through the TPO, because they have to go through the TPO in the state in order to let them know ahead of time. Now, we know where the road's going to go into because what they have told us. They didn't put the cut in at this point because we didn't have our plan on the road ready. for that, so they didn't put the cut in, but they know they're gonna, that's where we're gonna be going into that curve up there on the parkway. So that's what and very honestly, there are a lot of things that, well, let's say that I do as part of my responsibility as commissioner, Waveland citizen. And very honestly, I use the term "we" because there's very little that I do as an individual in anything in life, you know. So I've used the term "we" very honestly. We, when I'm talking, you know, to an engineer or something, it's always,
Commissioner Pelletier, I heard you say you had thought about tabling it. This is just public hearing.
Yeah, I understand that. We could still table it.
Well, we're not.
But that would be-
I'm not gonna table it this evening,
Okay,
it's
that's
just
all.
that I'd asked city manager for information, I didn't get that information. My concern is that we keep on talking, the capacity is not gonna be a problem. We don't know that. We need Bay County to come and tell us what our capacity is in writing. Okay? Because we don't know.
I don't have the current numbers,
But, you know, it would be nice to have some numbers that we can look at.
those are numbers from the county that is in the data analysis, and then
I was about to say,
Bill was
whenever,
reached out to
whenever we, I was thinking about that today, all of that was in the original.
It was in the comp plan amendment.
It was in the comp plan amendment, that's right.
Yeah, and that's data from the county. The county
Way back
does,
when.
but they do it monthly, and so Bill has requested it. He
Right.
can just, you know, and they put those reports out monthly. They track that water and sewer for the city monthly. And Bill's requested they'll give you that report, so you can see where you're operating at.
Right. Well, that would be nice to know before we run into an agreement like this.
Yeah, and then if you're operating on like sewer, you're less than half of your capacity. Right. Is what you're at, but when we did comp plan.
Yeah, it was, because I remember that's right, yeah, I thought
We were pretty good shape.
they were in that comp plan amendment we did.
Yeah, we do them. I get them from all the cities.
The comp plan's a year old.
Exactly, that's why you need current data. I mean, Bill's requested, so they'll give you the most current data where you're
As
operating.
soon as we get a hold of it, I'll email it out.
Okay.
Because we have another public hearing, then it'll come back to us to vote, correct?
Yeah, so you'll, like I said, tonight is discussion and input. The only thing we need to do tonight is set a date, time, and place for the second hearing. That's where you actually vote on the agreement. And then, I'm not, you know, if we need to get some data and have some revisions, I'm not suggesting we do it in 2 weeks. I would say, a month, you know, the next meeting in September. Probably plenty of time to get. But that's all I need to do tonight. Don't vote, just pick the date of the next year.
I had another question that's kind of been answered, you know, what kind of land are we getting? Is it, you know, developable? Is it, you know, does it have, spaces that we can't use this property? And, you know, we need to have that in writing, before we enter in agreement, with St. Joe. You know, if half of it's wetlands, what good is it gonna be?
Yeah, and I think with your consensus, my suggestion would be put predominantly uplands,
Right.
from environmental contamination, suitable for the city's purposes.
No.
You have some loose.
We need to put some-
I don't think so. Yeah, absolutely, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, that's why they left that language like it was, so they could,
Right.
when it was delineated and surveyed.
Just giving us 25 acres means nothing. You know, you got all this acreage up the road here and half of it's no good.
Yeah, and have 20 acres of wells, well, too, you look at that.
So,
Yeah, I would definitely
Yeah, I don't think so.
suggest adding that later.
That's the issue.
Anything else?
I'm looking at my notes, I understand every 5 years we're gonna review it, but it's a 30-year agreement, that's a long time. I don't understand why we can't, what's the difference? Why do we have to go 30 years?
So the 163 development agreement.
Yeah, development agreement, because it gets recorded, so basically it just, you know, protects the landowner, says, look, I've got this capacity, you know, subject to the language in the agreement, but the agreement runs with the land for 30 years under the development agreement statute. Now,
And realistically too, that development that this applies to, which is that 1,000 acres, it will be 20 to 30 year development.
Yeah, I understand that.
They'll be that.
so, yeah, the agreement applies for 30 years, but we'll have the 5-year revision or reverter language in here, that's what you guys want every If they don't use it, it goes back.
I know they don't use it, they lose it, but at the end of the day, we're committed for 30 years. Correct?
Well, for this parcel,
Right.
this parcel of land, this agreement will apply to that for 30 years. Now, having said that, if they don't, if they abandon it, don't do anything, then they agree, we get the reservation back.
All right.
So,
As long as they're building, they can stay there.
This locks them into residential, sure.
Yes.
I want to see an AI data center.
No, the last meeting, somebody doesn't know about that. It's all single family.
which I agree, we need to look and see, we need to confirm that, yes, we have 50% of our capacity available.
We need to have that in writing, talking about it and give us numbers verbally. I don't like that. You know, this is something we're doing in the future, and I'd like to see that in writing. That's what I'd asked for a couple of weeks ago. And, when this was on the agenda, and of course, I got that, and, just.
So we can have to see that
Before the next meeting, we'd appreciate it.
So then you can share that with the commission.
Yeah, and I'll coordinate it any way I can with the county, make sure that I'll get that done.
And I really think too, in the long run, no matter where we're at, obviously we're gonna grow. And is this gonna, as a commission, we need to look at, is that gonna, in the long run, prohibit us from growing in the future? Because we got one property that's gonna have a hold on us for 30 years. We've already got a city that outgrown their capacity, correct? So, and as a commission, as my viewpoint is that we want to commit to this agreement for that time, and we want to grow. We're thinking about growing more. Golf course parkway, wherever it is, we need to almost have a workshop and discuss some of these issues.
And one of the statutory things that we added in there, which Attorney was fine with, is that paragraph R, that and this is under the statute, that we're supposed to review this as a city every 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Say, all right, are you complying? What's your progress?
Right.
And it may say, hey, we're working on a development agreement, we're not gonna apply,
Those are up there.
and whatever, but, you do have to do annual review under the statute.
Didn't you just make the comment that the county is already looking at expanding the wastewater treatment plant, so how we could expand?
Yeah, they're looking for.
It's not shovel ready, it's 7 or 8 years out.
Oh, yeah.
See what I'm saying?
But they're looking long term.
We could say that they're looking at it, but the reality here is that if it's not shovel ready, it won't even be built for 7 to 10 years out.
Oh, yeah, you
We're
could
not
build,
gonna need it right now.
No.
you have more capacity than you would. You have plenty of capacity to keep it 10 to 18 years out. They're looking long term, and you have water and sewer. They're looking at a new water treatment plant. They're looking at upgrading military plant. You're looking at capacity for future, because Bay County's growing quite a bit, and building another possible wastewater treatment plant in another part of the county too, that would service a different area.
They're also improving our water from 50 million gallons per day to 60 million gallons per day. And they're adding 3 filters there where they haven't had that. So, and that was just approved.
I have no problem with the 30 years, because very honestly, if we don't, this is our service area, and we're responsible for it, and we're looking at it every year or 5 years, and all that, and we may have to look at, what our capacities may be, but this is our service area. We can't turn down development because we don't want to provide what we're obligated to provide, which is the service.
I'm not saying turn it down, it's just that we need to look at the big picture. Where we're going tomorrow, other than this development.
Well, the big picture today is we have plenty of capacity for 10 to 15 years or so. And here again, we're going to be looking at what's taking place east of us, the developments that's going there. So we have to be looking at these things, and our engineers have to be looking at these things. And we need to be looking at 5 years of what we're gonna be doing, or 10 years of what we're gonna be doing. Everything is not today. So,
Did you have a time frame, Bob, that you were interested in instead of the 30?
No, just, throwing it out there, that's in a long time, 30 years. I don't know what the time frame is, what the commission agrees with, it's just that I just thought that we need to think of what we're doing with this thing. 30 years is a long time. And none of us are gonna be here.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, planning and development of that size, to build 1,700 units, it's gonna be, it'll be anywhere from 15 to 30 years. Depends on market. What drives
Well, when we first started this project, you were up here telling us that within the next 10 years, and now we're talking.
No, I didn't, you wouldn't build 1,700 units in 10 years, you can't sell.
It's gonna be started
Yeah.
within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not necessarily gonna start building next year.
No, and I know that, the market's is gonna drive what they're gonna do. That's what's happening across the line, right over here, nothing's happening, because the market is just not there. And when the market comes down, and it's, the interest rates come down, maybe they'll start building.
But again, if they don't, in that 5 years, it comes back.
Capacity comes back. And that's something like other developments where people locked it in, local governments locked in their capacity, and they had no way to get it back.
Right.
This gives you that mechanism, so it will come back if something happens and it sits. The city will get their capacity back.
Anybody else?
No, I'm done.
Anybody? Okay, well, we'll
Thank
move to the
Thank you,
audience,
Ray.
and thank you, Ray. Custer? Did you have? Did you want to go first? No, look, I don't think.
Karen Custer, 216 Landing Road Drive. I did make a post about that meeting we had in March or whenever about capacities. And at that time, if they built 2,000 homes, we would hit 90% of our allocated capacity of the MPWWTP. So that's if they built 2,000 homes. So since you're talking about 1,750 homes, if it was 2,000 homes, then it left room for 1,093 more homes to be built separate from this subdivision. So that becomes 1,343 since they've reduced the number. So that's the number, you were talking about how much capacity do we have? It's 1,343 homes, assuming that the numbers that they use were correct. Okay. They're talking about 200 units per year commencing upon executing the development agreement. Okay, so we know that. However, they can decide not to build, within a 5-year period, but then they can say, well, we couldn't have, we have shortage of labor and materials or supply chains, a whole list of reasons why they don't really have to build in this time frame that they're going to build. At the very bottom of page 2, it says any unused portion of the capacity shall remain reserved for exclusive use by the developer, but the reserved capacity may be used for any use on the property consistent with the comprehensive plan. So, and also I was surprised that they can, okay, so they can send it over to us 200 years at a time, and we're responsible for maintenance. I was curious, am I paying taxes to support that? I mean, is everybody in Callaway then paying to maintain this new property? Is it the people in the property? I'm curious about that. And they are entitled to, number N, to apply to modify the land use designation for any portion of the property as the developer determines in its sole discretion. So do we get a vote on that or not? Okay. And like you said, they can we do it every 12 months? I did, okay. Could you just tell us is that, Kimbrell extends to Gulf Coast, does that one go over to the property, the Gulf Coast Parkway?
So,
When it goes up to Gulf Coast, we'll go to.
just make sure I understand, Kimbrell has nothing to do with that development over there.
Okay,
That's completely, totally separate.
okay,
North Kimbrell, which is just right off of Tyndall Parkway. There's already North Kimbrell goes up, it dead ends.
Highway 22.
Just right there from Highway 22. It'll go north, all the way to north, to Gulf Coast Parkway.
okay,
It's not part of that. It's
okay.
not part of it.
I just wondered if it had something to do with the project, but it doesn't, they're just giving that to you as a, yeah.
Instead of them writing, say they're writing a check to say, can preserve the capacity and we'll write a check, they're saying, we'll give you a 25-acre park and we'll give you a right of way. It's just a consideration for the reservation.
Yeah, so, when they do a developer's agreement, they'll go ahead and put in the infrastructure and everything else, but they won't dedicate it to us. Bill, you may have to help me out with this. They'll dedicate it to us once the infrastructure's put in, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, once, it'll have to be platted, the lots will have to be set. They'll go in, they'll put the streets in, they'll put in all the infrastructure. There's gonna have to be lift stations out there. They will have to put in lift stations. There's no cost gonna be to the citizens. Once they turn it over to us, then that means they're building, and then we'll start seeing revenue from the houses once they get their COs and they get sold.
Okay.
Anybody else? Ms. Lang? I think we need to comment.
Teresa Langston, 6031 Lynn Street. So my question is did the city offer to reserve capacity in exchange for the 25 acres? Or did St. Joe ask to reserve in exchange for the 25 acres? Because it sounds like St. Joe just woke up one day and said, my goodness, Callaway needs a new soccer field. Let's offer 25 acres to them.
No, we've had multiple discussions with St. Joe over the years. I know many years ago, we all sit down across the table. I don't even remember what it was about, Ray. I think you were actually in there when we talked about it. At some point, we were gonna have to have right of way of Kimbrell, for that. And we didn't ask them for 25 acres for, I don't remember saying, well, we need a park. I know we've always talked about needing parks, and they have took off on it, but there wasn't a negotiation or anything like that. It was, in the beginning. Ray, do you remember where the park came in at?
No, I know that. In discussions with the city on St. Joe, and not only this property, but other properties, and then also looking at long-range planning with the Gulf Coast Parkway game plan, Kimber Avenue came up of the extension of that, bringing that up. And then, as discussions went along, we knew that the city needed additional parks to talk about, park out here. So the St. Joe company offered that as an incentive, as Kevin said. Instead of writing a check paying for reserve capacity, the city's offering the property in exchange and the right-of-way dedication.
I don't really think there was like a quid pro quo that somebody said, we'll give you 25 acres if you give us capacity. I don't think that,
And that's what, the St. Joe company, and I mentioned this before, they're very good partners. They will partner with the city on anything. Schools, they did this with all the cities. Park spaces, schools, lots of stuff.
Airports.
They will partner. They want the community. This is, St. Joe's here. They want Bay County and the cities to do better. They're a local developer that is willing to work with the local governments. And always have. They've done a lot in all the cities.
Yeah, there has been any appreciation.
We've eaten this all this every time.
Just turn it off.
Yeah, sorry, it's too late
Did you
now.
I know we infringed on your 3 minutes because he answered your question. Was there anything else? That's why I want to just,
I have a pretty mean sort of that. kind of ask, as long as you don't take away my 3 minutes.
Well, that's what I'm saying, was there
So-
something else you wanted to comment on
Yes.
this?
So when we did the comp plan, I think we were at capacity a little over 60%. And it seems like every time that we're approving a development, it comes up, oh my gosh, we got 40%, we got 40%, we got 40%, oh, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. We're approving all this stuff. All this stuff is gonna eat up the 40%, because I know if I only have 40% of my income left, and I go out spending money and spending money and spending money, that 40% ain't gonna last forever. So I think it's crazy that, you know, every time we wanna approve something, oh, we have plenty of capacity, we have plenty of capacity. When we're building all this stuff to take up this capacity, because 40% only lasts for so long. You know what happens when all of this stuff that we have approved, they build, and then what are we gonna do? And I know, I get it that, you know, we gotta look for the future, and I can sit up there and say, it's not gonna be our problem in 30 years. But, I mean, do we really wanna set people up for that? Because the people who did stuff in the past has kind of set you guys up for some stuff that you guys had to, you know, figure out, or you could just look at the citizens and say, well, we're sorry, somebody, you know, 20 years ago passed this, and, well, there's nothing we can do for you. You know, I mean, that's kind of crappy, but, I mean, I get it that it happens. But then I also want to say that, you know, you talk about the 25 acres for this new soccer field and this stuff, which I'm assuming that we're gonna have to have more employees to maintain, all this extra stuff, because, you know, we have all of these positions that we can't fill, that we, you know, use salaries for and stuff like that, but, I mean, we can only run our employees for so long without hiring new people. And, I mean, it is kind of fun because of the way that, you know, we just use salaries for this and salaries for that, and then use salaries for this and that and whatever. But that's all I just wanted to say is that 40% ain't gonna last forever. And with all the stuff that we have been passing, you know, 1,000 houses here, 750 here, this and that and whatever, that 40% ain't gonna last forever. I think we need to actually take that into consideration.
Mr. Bovak, you comment.
Well, Mr. Bovak's coming up on kind of the average, 500 houses, about 700, or about 7 or 8% capacity for each 500 houses, based on some math they tossed out there. Capacity, 500 houses adds about 7 to 8% of capacity, or takes away like 7 to 8% of capacity, approximately.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get some solid numbers from Bay County.
Sure.
That's why I asked.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
But it's about 350 gallons per day per house. So 2,000 units, that's only 700,000 gallons.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bovak, I apologize. That didn't come against your time.
Yeah. Paul Bovak, 7. Excuse me. Paul Bovak, 7010 Mike Lane. I had originally reviewed the proposal that appeared in the package a couple of weeks ago, had compiled some comments I wanted to make. This evening, the city attorney upended everything with some comment. So, I need some clarity from you, sir. Please explain precisely what you intend to do and how what you intend to do will affect or influence the document that we received previously.
So.
Yeah, I mean, is that it? We don't.
That's all I needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, so the one in the packet tonight has revisions that are already
The
made or.
packet tonight did not include a whole lot. Not the one I got.
I bring it back if it's in
Did
here.
you get what I emailed to you? There's a 6-page document.
Oh, I did not.
You did not.
I did not get the 6-page stuff. However, there is one here. I will take it with me.
Yeah, I mean, this is in the agenda that was published over there Friday, right? So I just made, from the one from 2 weeks ago, because that was kind of the first time I saw it too, was Thursday. I made some statutory changes which added, a lot at the end, the QR, the annual review, and you have to have a published notice and all that. So I just made statutory compliant revisions and everything was fine. I told Ray, the St. Joe attorney, that I'm gonna hold off on any substantive revisions until we have this hearing, so I can get input from you. So, I mean, what my plan would be is to go and make some revisions to tighten up the 25 acres, that sort of stuff. Like, hey, if you're gonna deed it to us, deed it to us in 60 days, or it's gonna be a suitable site, primarily uplands, those types of things that we heard today.
They technically separate the 750 acres as part of the Kimbrell extension from the 1,098 acres that was recently voluntarily annexed.
Well, I don't think Kimbrell's anywhere near there, so.
Because that was in as part of the original agreement that came from St. Joe, which is part of my concern.
This agreement, when it's recorded, runs with the land on that land, all that acreage that was recently annexed, right? This is what we're. Right, correct. That's what this was. The Kimbrell thing, it's obviously separate land. The 25 acres is separate land. Yeah. So that's just our consideration for a lot of land capacity for this 1,000 over there.
Which has nothing to do with 1,000 acres.
Say again.
Well, the Kimbrell extension and the 25 acre park, that's just the payment or consideration for knocking in that 1,000 acres over here they've got. They're not related to each other, other than that's just the city's.
And they are not a part of the agreement.
It's part of the agreement because it's how we're being compensated for locking in the capacity, but they're not.
But the whole 750 acres is not part of the agreement. And what he's claiming, 750 acres at Kimbrell.
No, it's just a road right away.
Yeah, it's just a road right away at Kimbrell.
That's what I needed. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what I plan to do is tighten up that language and then, like I said, add dispute resolution type of, some other general legal stuff that's not statutory, but I think needs to be in there. That, if there's a dispute over it, here's what we do. They can't just assign it to anybody. It needs to be another St. Joe, because we want somebody like St. Joe. If we're gonna do this, it has the financial wherewithal to be able to perform. So you don't want to assign it to somebody else. So stuff like that is how
you don't want to give it to the company.
Right. But yeah, the big thing I kind of wanted is, are you guys good with? Yes, we'll lock in capacity. Once you know what the capacity is, obviously you don't make the decisions on that here. In exchange for the road right away, the 25 acres. Essentially, then we can make revisions and say here.
We'll have that information when we have our next meeting. We'll have that information by then.
I'm okay with that.
But, yeah, did you want to move it out to a September meeting? You said.
I would just give you guys time to. I'm good too. And that's really the only decision we need from the commission tonight is the date time of the second hearing. I would say
we should move it to a September meeting, give the county time to get information that we want.
So how about the second meeting in September? Would that be okay?
Or the first one, I mean, that's a month away. This is just the first meeting in August. So I have to push into what day, what is the date?
8th.
September the 8th.
it's a month. Yeah. We need to advertise it 7 days prior, so we just put it on the county website.
So to see if anybody else will. Did anybody else want to comment? I don't see anyone. Not missing anybody, okay. So yeah, so we just do September the 8th will be our second public hearing.
Thank you.
We don't need to vote on that, that just, okay, so we'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to a regular agenda. So agenda item number 3, submission for a submerged land easement from the state.
This is resolution number 2609, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Callaway, Florida, authorizing the submission of an application to the Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund in the state of Florida through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Division of State Lands, Bureau of Public Lands for a submerged land easement over sovereignty submerged lands necessary for the Bertha Spillway Rehabilitation Project, authorizing the city manager to prepare, execute, and submit such application and pay applicable fees, authorizing the mayor to execute the easement and related documents, authorizing city officials and staff to take all actions necessary to obtain the easement, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Okay. City manager?
This is the cat chasing its own tail. The state, the Corps came through with some weird RFIs. They just want us to apply for a submerged land permit for the Bertha Spillway replacement. It's the wildest thing we've ever seen. So if that's what they want, we drew one up.
And we kind of went through this with a bridge replacement, because you know, look at the right of way, and 1 year they got wide into certain, but if there's some stuff in the water, they say, hey, get this little square and we'll give you over it so you can do the work. So,
I actually approved a right-of-way agreement with myself. Well, that's why I asked you, do we have a form? I literally filled out a request to myself to give myself access to my own right-of-way, and I signed it and sent it to them, they were like, great.
As long as they're happy. So does anybody have any comment or question on this one?
How much are the fees?
there may not be one.
No cost.
Yeah.
Did anybody in the audience want to comment on the request that we have to, yes, now?
It would make more sense if there were fees involved. You know, they were trying to get that.
I just had a real quick question. When would this project, do you think, even start? Is there a planned date?
No, right now, we have submitted all of the documentation to the state. They came back with a couple of RFIs. That's just a request for information. A couple other documents we had to provide. We're waiting on them to give us an executed document. Once we get an executed document, then we've got the bid prepared, do we not, Ashley? For the Bertha Spillway?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so
We'll
we
be
have
putting it out
funding
for bid.
already?
Mhm.
We already have funding?
That's what we're doing. This is the grant that's gonna pay for half. And we already had it in the budget, so we were prepared to get the grant, we just wasn't prepared to do it all ourselves. So
Just say
now we're in the
much,
final stages of the grant. Once they send us an executed agreement that says, yes, we accept, we're gonna pay half, or, I'm sorry, 1.4 million, something like that. Then we'll start executing and putting out for bid.
Right.
So we'll be able to start the project real soon. That's kind of the beauty of some of the things that's been going on with the state. The governor took a new stance on grants. He started kicking projects out that didn't have engineering already done. Well, we've got 10 lift stations and we had the Bertha Spillway. We already had engineering plans for. We had heard this was going to happen a couple of years ago. This year he actually did it. We was not expecting to get the grant for the spillway this year. We thought it would be in next year's budget. But he went ahead this year and he started kicking projects that had engineering, and it just brought ours right up, and ours was engineered ready, and he said, give it to him.
Does it have a certain duration already set out, a couple of years, or to do it, to execute it?
Oh, well, no, they'll execute the agreement.
No, I mean to execute the project.
I don't know what the time frame on it. It may be a year project for those. And we're not planning on shutting down Bertha. Just to let everybody know.
This is an easement for 5,000 square feet. So basically, the city has the Bertha right of way, and the state's saying, well, you might need to have an easement over 5,000 square feet of water so you can do this project. We're getting an easement over 5,000 square feet of water. Yeah. You probably never, so no contractor will set up.
Right, yeah.
Anybody else?
Now, I say that, but I do, if we had a concrete truck, we may have shut down for now. We're trying to keep the correct plan, maybe just one lane, okay, but we're not planning on, it's been part of the whole deal.
Don't say we won't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say we won't,
Say we won't.
because I guarantee you, you watch me, I'll go out there one day and shut it down for a couple of hours, and I'll throw them under the bus. And beaten, kicked, stabbed.
Yelled at.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody else in the audience wanted to speak, so gentlemen,
Motion to approve submission for submerged land easement from the state.
Second.
okay, we've got a motion and a second. There's no further discussion. City Clerk?
Commissioner Briggs?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Barfield?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we move on to agenda item number 4, advisory board appointments, city manager or city clerk.
So this item was tabled in the last commission meeting. We do have a planning board vacancy for an unexpired term ending December 31st of 2027. Mr. Bostic and Mr. Cormier are both in the audience.
And well, I guess we'll start out with either of you gentlemen like to say anything on your behalf. Or, I mean, we can discuss it some and then we'll have public comment and you can do it then, so I'll just give you the option.
Maybe an introduction by each would be good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, would you like to do just a brief intro? I mean, we've got, both you gentlemen are here, so.
Good evening. My name is Donald John Trump. Wrong place. Tony Bostic. I live over on North Kimball. Retired from the military. Had one of the great pleasures of serving in 3 or 4 branches of the military. So I kind of been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. I retired from the military in 2004. I've been here since. As most of you know, I'm kind of engrossed in the things I do in the community. And I had a lot of choices of places to live, and I chose to live in Callaway because even when I retired from the military, I think Callaway is the city with the most solid plan to be a great place to live. You guys have done an outstanding job. Yeah, you don't always like everything you do, but you've done a great job of managing growth. And so we don't overbuild or outgrow our, I know you're gonna hate this word, capacity. But I think you guys have done a great job. Post Hurricane Michael, one of the things that further impressed me was that you were one of 2 municipalities in the county that wasn't underwater. And when I say underwater, I'm talking about financially. And yeah, you did take a little hit because you had to get things rolling, but you bounced back like real champions. And I think that says a lot for the people that sit where you guys sit. Again, we don't always agree with all of your decisions, but I think if we take and be honest, you guys have done an outstanding job. When a new commissioner comes on, they seem to get on board the bandwagon. And they seem to have that same idea that you guys have, and that's making Callaway the greatest place in Baton to live. Listening at the deputy earlier, if you take those same numbers and you go to Panama City, or you go to Lynn Haven, you'll see the difference. You'll see the difference. Yes, we're going to have traffic accidents. Yes, somebody's going to get a ticket. But I think the way the law enforcement over here handles things a whole lot better than they do in the rest of the county. The mayor, we got the friendliest mayor in Bay County. We got the friendliest mayor in Bay County. City manager, we've got probably the most accessible city manager in Bay County. We definitely have one of the most friendly in Bay County. But it's very rarely I've ever heard anyone say that they called to talk to Ed Cook, and either they didn't talk to him right then, or he didn't call them back in a reasonable amount of time. So I think that says a lot for our city manager. For those that don't know, Ed stepped in here at the worst time he could ever decided to change jobs. He stepped in here one day, I guess it was probably within a week of Hurricane Michael, and it was all on his shoulders. And he stood in pain. He stood in pain like a real champion. And I think his leadership has been on display ever since then. And I'm exceptionally proud. I talk with him a lot. Well, I should say I argue with him a lot. But he's got the right answer. Mr. Griggs, Commissioner Griggs, I talk with him probably more than I talk with any of you other guys. And that's not because I don't want to talk with you guys. I just happen to see him more often. Now, Commissioner Pelletier, I see him in my favorite shopping spot, Walmart, all the time. And so I think you guys are great, and I think I would love the opportunity to work with you guys to help shape our great little city. I think we have the best city in Bay County to live. 159 North Kimball is where they'll lay you to rest from. I'm not leaving Callaway. I just, hope you guys will decide to let me be a part of this great family. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Fournier.
Afternoon, James Fournier. I'm growing towards the end of a military career, 16 years, been a part of a lot of boards, and at this point, I'm looking to more put my focus and energy into the community. I have been in the area for 4 years, but I just recently bought a house here in Callaway in the recent year, and that's kind of why I'm looking forward to getting involved into the planning board. I don't have the experience of knowing everybody on this board, but what I don't have in the experience is what I have in youth and the gung-ho and the ambition. A few things about me. I've been a part of so many boards in the Air Force. I was a part of the Air Force Sergeants Association and Division II, which covers 7 states, 10,000 members. I was on the International Board for Communications Committee, where we revamped all communications for all 100,000 members, updating old, outdated software, stuff like that. Ultimately, I just want to make Callaway the best city it can for my newborn son and my wife. Thank you.
Thank you. And you want to discuss, and then we'll open it up for citizen comments. Anybody want to say anything?
I said, at the last meeting, I covered a lot of things that really involved Tony. And his actually input in our budget meetings and input, particularly after the hurricane, the cream rises after the situation like that. And he's always he's aware of where we have to go with our goals on the city. And he's also been aware of also is aware that the planning board has to follow certain rules and regulations, etc. Some people think, well, I get on the planning board and I can make a change. The state has a lot of views toward that, and of course the city. But I make no bones about it that I would welcome Tony on the planning board. And citizens that are coming into Callaway, I really appreciate them getting involved. I know, Pam, I'm looking at you and all that business, but we were involved with the city I've been involved with the city for over 20-something years on various committees and various developments that have come in. not as a commissioner, but just as a citizen, like so many people that are sitting out there now. The more you learn, you realize that the history is important, today is important, and the future, as we talked about today, 30 years is important, that kind of thing. So we need to understand that, and whoever advises us needs to understand that too.
Commissioner Birdsell, I think you wanted to say something.
I had some questions for both of the applicants at the time. Really simple questions. They answered some of them, like, why do you want to serve? They both kind of explained why they wanted to serve. I read y'all's experience of where you're at. But two questions. If you weren't selected tonight, would you be someone that would want to apply again when a position comes open, like when this term ends in another year, or if another person ever steps down, or if something opens up? Would you be wanting to, or is this like, hey, I'm gonna try it once, and if it ain't for me, if I don't get it, I'm out?
I would readily apply again. I try to be as involved as I can in not only in Callaway, quote unquote politics, but throughout Bay County. So it's not a one and done for me. I'm gonna be around. I'm planning on drawing Social Security until I'm 110, so I'll be here.
So I would absolutely look forward to other board positions, even if it's not even with the planning board. Any way that I can volunteer my time to help out the city, I'd be down for it.
What's your address that you're at now?
702 Michael Drive.
Gotcha. Question. You said that you're still active military. Are you on a control tour or anything, or are you potentially getting orders before you're retired?
So as of now, I am not getting orders to move.
Okay.
Obviously, I have some say in that, but not a lot. But yes, to answer your question, there's nothing projected in the near future, and with being so close to the end of my term, they're not going to try to send me somewhere else for another 4 years. I wouldn't have that kind of routine.
What are your duties now in the Air Force? Is it Air Force?
Yes, sir. So I'm Air Force. I'm in munition systems.
Munitions?
Yes, sir. I currently just stood up the first ever Tyndall shipping and receiving section. We track $181 million worth of hazardous material in that Tyndall. Obviously, Tyndall is being built up as well. There was a lot of in and out bounds coming out, and now I'm in a more supervisory role, and I have more troops now. So before I was in charge of 3 people with a lot of duties. Now I'm in charge of 13 people and less explosives.
Are you in your 30s?
36. Thank you.
Are you good? Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Okay, well, the audience, if anybody wants to say anything, so we can give opportunity. Yes, ma'am?
Just pull me a chair here, right?
At least get you one on wheels.
All right, so I'll give you the same spiel that I've given you before when we have applicants. You talk about how you want citizens to be involved and how you want this and how you want that, and you want citizens to love y'all and come to the meetings and all that stuff. When they do apply for positions or come to the meetings to speak, they're kind of treated poorly by, some members of the commission. And here we're going to be faced with the same old of putting the same person on multiple boards and stuff. And I think we should have different people on different boards. I mean, by doing that, you have more diverse perspectives, more, a broader community representation. But we seem to kind of want to default to, well, we know Joe Smith over here, so we're gonna put him on this board, and that board. Just because we know them and we think that they're a good person or whatever. We've seen that over and over again when there's been applicants that have been up here been coming to meetings for several years, and it just seems to be the same old. I think we'll have better accountability with different people, have different views. I know some people don't care about that. Some people just want to go, hey, my buddy's on this board or that board. And as far as the planning board, sure, we've got things that we've got to follow. We're an advisory board. We don't make any decisions. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you listen to us and sometimes you don't care. Sometimes you don't care what the citizens say. You just kind of do what you want to do. Depends on your relationship with the person that's applying or whatever. And I do think that that in this case that it might benefit the city of Callaway to, have different people on the different boards. I get it that y'all know people and stuff like that, but you gotta give other people a chance to get involved in the city, and y'all seem to shut new people down. I know for a fact that y'all seem to shut people down because y'all done it to me before, but I don't go away. I come back week after week after week and voice my opinion, and whether you like it or not, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. So I do think we should give other people a chance instead of having one person on different boards or whatever.
Thank you. And we do appreciate your input, Ms. Langston. That's right. And then I'll get you.
I'm sorry, did I?
No, it's okay. No, I saw your hand and then I
Okay.
saw his. So.
Karen Custer, 216 Lanny Road Drive. I just met Tony last meeting. He seems like a nice enough fellow. But like Teresa mentioned, he's already on one committee. And he said he'd be willing to apply for this position when it expires at the end of next year. So and then we have the opportunity to have somebody who works on Tyndall who maybe could bring some other people into meetings, like some fresh ideas. So I thought, well, it might be good since he's available now to bring him in now, and then Tony or whoever can think about it again next year. I really appreciate you saying we'd be willing to wait. So that's my thought.
Okay.
Mark Bossler, 6303 Wallace Road. I've looked over the city charter a lot, read a lot of it, look at it, look for certain things. One of the things that's important and laid out in it, that these positions, your guys' positions, and positions that people are applied for, planning for, it's nonpartisan. So if you have somebody come up here and they say the person's name, it might be our president, that's a little bit partisan. I don't like that. I couldn't find anything in the city charter saying anything about somebody being on multiple boards, but I think you gotta spread that knowledge and wealth around. Also, if you look at that person's application and they list in there a lot of stuff that they are qualified for, and me having that qualification, look up on the website and it says application denied, that makes me wonder what else they're lying about. And then a lot of stuff when I looked up, so I have no access to like some random database. I just look up what these people post on Facebook. It looks like one of them spends a lot of time in Lynn Haven. We want people to come here. I want people to come here and voice their concerns for here, not for Lynn Haven. St. Lynn Haven. Don't tell me you're gonna die in Callaway, but you're spending most of your time over there. And I ain't singling one out at all, so my all-in does for that, but I'm gonna fire some of the other person too. There's a lot of us up here. A lot of us standing here, a lot of us here that are military, and we know
how that job is, how you can be gone, how you can be doing all kinds of other things and not have time for what needs to happen. So, I think that everybody should take that into consideration too. It's just a lot of stuff that you gotta do while you're in the military. Did that for 20 years. Y'all good?
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Did you want to go first?
No. I'll go first. Changed my mind.
Spring of the ratings and 126 singles and circle.
You were a little short.
I'm short.
Shorter, Alexa.
That's fine. How many applied? Is it just the two? Just the two. How many do we usually get apply? More than two?
No.
So we're limited to what we get. That's what I was thinking. My resignation had already been booked in for the end of November. I would gladly leave my seat early. It helps both gentlemen get their position. Let me know what needs to be done. I know I can't do it right now. I know there's a process, but I would line up if it helps. Thank you.
Anybody else? Was there somebody, did you want to say something? Since you're the applicant, I'll let you speak if you have an applicant.
Tony Boston, 159 North Kimball. I'm not exactly sure what the young man was alluding to, but I think everybody knows. Me. I spent a lot of time in Lynn Haven, just so everybody knows. I spent a lot of time in Lynn Haven because I thought it was an injustice. I don't spend a lot of time in Callaway City Commission meetings because I've found very few injustices. I think some of the injustices that I've seen here in the Callaway Commission meeting is that sometimes you guys on that side of the dais are a little too civil. You're a little too easy. You're a little too, I don't really want to upset them. When sometimes you have to take a hammer to a marble. And I understand you guys. I understand you really well. On my application, it says that I worked in military intelligence, underground utilities, business and church security. That's all easily verifiable. Firearm safety and instruction. Me and my wife have ran a weapons training company for the last 6 years here. So that's verifiable. Other than that, there was nothing. That says 8 licenses with the NRA. I pay $88 a year times 8 to maintain my certifications so that I can continue to hold my license as an instructor for all 8 disciplines that the NRA has. And as far as me invoking the name of the president, it was a joke. I've done that. Panama City, I've done that. Callaway, I've done that. Lynn Haven. It's just to lighten the mood. If you take that to heart and believe that I'm Donald John Trump, then that says more about you than it does about me. If you can't laugh sometimes, you probably got a problem. As far as military service goes, I had the great privilege of being a United States Marine for 13 months. I had the great pleasure of being a United States Army soldier for 9 years, 6 months, and a couple weeks. I had the distinct pleasure of being a United States Air Force member for 7 years, 4 months, and a couple days. I've done my time. You can go and pull my 214, you can do whatever you need to do. But then again, if you have an issue or a question with me, you can always, you look at my, if you can find my Facebook post, you can find what I believe, what I stand for, and you know that I don't back down. I'll fall on my sword if I believe it's right. And I don't take kindly to things like that because I'm not going to get up here and if me and Commissioner Pelletier might have an issue over or whatever.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. I want to give you equal time. Did you want to say anything else?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Can I ask you?
I'm sorry.
If spring's gonna step down, does it just make it mute? Can we put them both on?
Well,
No.
yeah, she needs to do it first. I think we probably need to select somebody, and then if she steps down, then maybe we can, wouldn't that be the more appropriate way to do it? Yeah, so we need to appoint somebody tonight and then see what happens. If she decides to change her mind, then, you know, that's okay too. So, did anybody else want to say anything? Gone. Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Cormier for the position.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Or we will vote? If there's no further discussion, we've got a motion and a second. Okay? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Looks like I do too.
Did you say aye?
I said aye. So there's
3-2.
So congratulations, Mr. Cormier. I imagine Ashley will be in touch with you to let you know about the first meeting and stuff.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you stepping forward to work with the city, to serve the city. And thank you, Mr. Bostic. I know we'll see you again. You're very involved in all the communities, so I know you have enough to keep you busy right now anyway.
Yes, ma'am. The choice, you know, we couldn't make a bad choice.
That's right, you couldn't make a bad choice, but thank you both very much.
It's a good choice. Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we will go on to our item number 5, surplus equipment. Leisure services surplus. I apologize.
Yeah, so, just basically, the last meeting, we did the adjustments. That equipment's been ordered, and we're going to go ahead and start the surplus property, the surplus process to get rid of the older equipment.
Anybody have, this is the stuff, yeah. Anybody have any?
So, Eddie, on the 2016, that's not too old, is it just unserviceable or? 2016? I can see the 2007 and 2014, but.
It still runs, it's just got a lot of hours on it.
It's a lawnmower?
It's
Yeah.
zero.
Can we use it as a backup?
We have been using it as a backup. It's just starting to kind of nickel and dime us with, you know, they don't make, some of the parts aren't readily accessible for that particular year. They've redesigned a lot of stuff. So.
I know we replaced it already, that's, you know,
Yes.
I understand that, but my question was,
Do we still have backup?
do we have to get rid of it?
We don't have to. I mean, so
We don't have
the other issue we're having is shop space. So we're starting to run out of shop space.
A bigger shop?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Different budget.
But it is a
Let's talk about that
lawnmower.
tomorrow.
It is a 10-year-old lawnmower,
Yeah.
so I know mine's wearing out pretty quick. So.
Yeah,
No, I was just curious.
maybe it's good enough shape that we still get something for it, instead of running it into the ground and then we get nothing for it. Anybody else have any? Anybody in the audience want to comment on surplus used equipment? I don't see anybody.
Motion to approve leisure services surplus equipment.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
For you that are wanting a really good mower, that's, it'll be on, Florida Auction Network. Show up and bid it way up there.
Please.
You need to put out when you're gonna have an auction.
Yeah.
So this, I mean, so that city people know, in case they do wanna go and see what the city surplus is.
We need to put that out.
Yeah, put it on the website, you know, and say,
I'll reach out to him and have him send me the information.
that when there's gonna be an auction, and that citizens know. People are here and they see what we're surplusing. If nothing else, they can go and see that we're really selling it.
I sure don't wanna go down there and bid lines.
No, I know you don't, but somebody might. I mean, somebody was indicating they could use that mower, so.
We take care of them.
Someone that uses it, I'll give them.
Yeah, there you go. It's gotta come with the person. Okay, we'll go to item number 6. Bid award, Public Works 2026-07 water meters. City.
I'll take it. This is just kind of a new way that we're starting to do business. Currently, there is only one supplier for our water meters, and that's Core Main. But unless we bid it out, we can't do the large quantities, and we've been keeping shorter, smaller quantities as we budget through, so that it actually doesn't end up being a capital purchase, because that would put us in to having to go out for bid. So we're going to bid the whole entire year out, because we know it's a sole source provider. We're the only ones that produce outdoors. We put the bid out. We actually did get 2 bids, but the one company didn't bid our meters. They did a completely different meter that will not work on our system.
Right.
So, that being said, this is just going to be in the budget. I think we've got about 400,000 in there for meters this year. So we will put through one large purchase order, and but we'll dough out how they come into us. It won't be at one time. It'll just be as needed. And if they have that purchase order, we don't have to wait on meters. They'll keep them in stock for us at all times.
I have one question, do we have space to store them?
No, we'll find space.
Get rid of that line.
This for you, we're not gonna get a year's worth up front. We're gonna get what we need for, yeah, 2 weeks a month or whatever we need.
We're not gonna buy them all at one time. We'll just pull off the purchase order as we need. And we may order 2 pallets at a time. And then when it starts 21, we'll say, hey, we'll be ready for another 2. We'll be able to get on these. It's gonna be a more efficient way to do business, because they are a social provider.
You got 2 of them, one of them wasn't even the right thing.
Yeah, that baffled us for a couple of days, didn't it?
Because the brands were specified.
Yeah, we specifically said, this is the meter that we have to have, it's only fits with our system. We just got a random bid.
They didn't, obviously they didn't read it closely, or they thought we told them.
Even their bid amounts didn't match up, right?
No, it was wildly off.
Yeah, we could, everything was off, the quantities, the totals, we were just baffled.
Does anybody else up here have anything? Would anybody in the audience like to comment on the bid award for the water meters? Just want to give y'all the opportunity. Not seeing anybody, we need a motion.
Motion to approve the bid award for Public Works 2026-07 water meters.
Second.
Okay, you've got a motion and a second. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Go on to the bid award, Public Works 2026-09 fire hydrant.
Almost the same situation, only there are multiple providers, but when we need a fire hydrant, we need hydrants. It's hard to know how many we're gonna need ahead of time, so that being said, it was easier to go ahead and put this out for bid. And it actually did drive the cost down significantly by doing it this way. So we've got, it's gonna be versus what we had budgeted, so we will probably getting a couple of extras since the bid came in low.
Now, is this, I mean, your bid amount, is that for one, or, yeah, for how many is that?
Looks like 12 to me, was it?
I think 12.
Okay.
Yeah, that was for 12. Yeah, we put the bid out for 12.
I knew it couldn't be for one.
Yeah, no, that's for 12 hydrants.
Okay.
But the bids came in below what we're actually budgeting, so we'll actually be able to 14 or 15. That's all set up. And we always need hydrants. This also has to do with the new hydrants that we're putting in, the extensions that we're doing, and adding fire protection for the city. So.
Now, question,
the new ones that we're putting in to add fire protection, will those be paid with impact fees?
Yes.
Okay, because I think we talked about that, that is eligible for impact fees. So if you're just replacing one someplace else, that a car hit. That's not gonna be impact.
No, and we do have aging hydrants that we are put on rotation. The chief does his testing, and then if one is not adequately working right, then we'll.
I know I see them test, because one of them happens to be kind of had one from my house.
Car had to go to their insurance.
That's true, that's true.
That is true.
I wanted to ask that question too. Do we have any fire hydrants working in our city?
We might have a few. Public Works is working on them. The issue that we're having is lower flows, which they are being addressed with the bigger lines and stuff like that the guys are doing.
So I don't understand if we have a few that are not working. We have a fire in that area. What's going to?
We will find a way to get water there. If I have to call tankers or lay an extra, 500 foot of hose, we will definitely overcome.
We won't let our yacht.
We don't want a yacht club burn.
No.
We won't let our yacht.
And we're aware of it. I hate to say it, but they just, fire wasn't aware of it, so they tied in and they planned everything right then and there, and that thing was dead, and they're like, now we gotta pick everything up and, be mobile, so we are aware. We have a great relationship with Public Works. This is the best
You have water in the trucks, but at some point, if it's a big fire,
Of course, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hopefully we don't have that issue.
Yes, sir.
We've had kitchen fires and small fires, but I was just curious. I need to ask the question, how many are not working?
Yes.
If we know they're not working, why haven't we replaced them?
We haven't replaced them.
We said Public Works is working on it.
Oh,
Yeah, there's valves issues sometimes underground that Thomas is locating and stuff like that. I mean, we constantly send a list, and he sends them back. Hey, these are good to go. Can you go flow them? Make sure you got 500 gallons per minute or more. That's the lowest I can go, is 500 GPM. Some of them are just 400, so I declare that up.
So those two are gonna be replaced, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they still functional at the moment?
Some of them are functional. They will have water come out, but we just gotta understand that it doesn't have the flow.
Right.
That will compensate for that.
Anybody else that you have any questions? Anybody in the audience wants to question or comment on the bid award for fire hydrants? Not seeing anybody. Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the bid award for the Public Works 2026-09 fire hydrant.
second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and we will go on to item number 8, task order, DH Group, lift station, rehab, grant, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, ADSC, project.
Yeah.
So we've got the grant for the 3 lift stations that's coming up. There are some modifications to 2 of the lift stations that are going to need to be done. That was determined out of the water and sewer master study that came forward and talked about certain stations needing other things. So we will not do anything on this task order until we get an executed agreement back from the state for the 3 lift stations. But we'll be able to do those modifications under the ESDC portion of it. That's where they will review the plans. And this is all grant funded. But this is also the CEI. Now, when we did the engineering for the 15 lift stations, as part of that, we put in the agreement a set price for CEI for lift stations, which is like $45,000 a lift station. The state accepted all of that. They said, yes, great. They love it. It's a very reduced price from normal CEI work. So we're going to go ahead and execute the CEI for these particular lift stations so that whenever they do the grant award, we'll be able to start the EDSC immediately. And then, of course, there'll be just some minor modifications to 2 of the 3. It has to do with the electrical. We're gonna move them from, I think, 220 up to 480, something like that. So we can increase the power of those. We've been working with FPL right now to make sure that we have power and area to be able to cover that. So we'll be able to put the larger pumps in, which will ultimately all be impact fees. In fact, 2 of the lift stations will be definite upgrades. We're still looking at the 3rd one, which means we won't match with impact fee money to keep from hitting our sewer budget, even though our sewer budget's fine. So we're just getting a little bit of a head start on it. Go ahead and get this in so that when we get that agreement back, we can go full speed with EDSC so we can get that out to bid.
The 45,000 you mentioned, that's 50%? And then that's 50% of the CEI because it says 92,000.
3 lift stations.
Right, but I mean, is that 50% of the cost? In other words, we're matching that. The state's going to give us a grant for half and we're paying the other half.
I mean, the way it generally works with the grants, you can't look at it that way. We have to say, because if the bid comes out from our estimates, if it come in real low, the state's only gonna match 50% up to that amount. So the numbers will vary. It doesn't apply to CEI or to construction. It's all lump sum in there and we'll split the cost 50%.
50% is better than 0%.
You got that? I'll take 50 right now. We got spoiled. We got spoiled at 90-10. Woo, we got spoiled at 90-10.
Well, at least we took advantage of that as long as we could.
We did. And like I said, with us having these shovel-ready projects, it's just pushing us up to the front on all the lines for grant funding right now. We're trying to start thinking ahead of what we need to go ahead and start engineering, because I don't think the state's gonna change. They're just trying to maximize their money, and they basically said, we're tired of you throwing a project at us, and then you go out and you spend a year and a half engineering, and a year and a half of construction, and the projects are really waiting out many years whenever they're saying we want to fund it in this year's budget. They don't earn carryovers. So they're taking projects that are shovel ready.
Anybody up here have any other questions, comments? Okay, does anybody in the audience want to comment on the task order for the lift stations? I don't see anybody, so would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve task order DH Group, formerly Baskerville Donovan, lift stations 31-8-4, rehab grant, ESDC, CEI, and Project Hotel.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we will go on to our add-on item, which is grant administration services, city manager.
First, I thank y'all for letting us add this on late. We had the RFQ meeting yesterday. What we're sitting at is we have these 3 grants that we're gonna need to pull grant administration in on, obviously our paperwork, which is funded through the grant. So it's most of the time, there is no out-of-cost pocket to the city for these. But staff issued the request for proposals for administration of city grants. Proposals were received from K2, GURAS, and CRI. The 3 committee teams scored the proposals. 2 members scored GURAS as the first, K2 as the second, and CRI as the third. 1 member scored K2 as the first, GURAS as the second, and CRI as the third. However, when you put the scores in to the table and you add the scores up, it actually put K2 as having the highest overall score. So this kind of really puts us into a position of thought of 2 people said GURAS was the best, but due to scoring, individual scoring bias could actually lead to flipped numbers. And so we've currently been working with GURAS and its staff with grant administration since 2020 with no issues in performance, no de-obligations, no issues at all. And so we would like to request to continue working with GURAS to maintain continuity of the grants process. And we're going to review the scoring criteria situation and see, because this has just been a really great effect that, somebody could actually go in and score everyone's super low, one person super high, and it could flip a whole entire committee as opposed to looking at it in terms of how many people scored what highest. It's just, it's not a good situation.
But why do we even have the process, city manager? We have these boards that do this, and
so we are a very unusual city, Commissioner. We're one of the few cities that we allow residents to sit on RFQs and RFQ committees and on big committees.
But there's a big disparity between the two then. I mean, you're saying that you want to throw out, the first bid, the first, the K2, and there's a, 20 plus votes difference.
20 points out of 100. Yeah. But once again, you had two members that said this was the better.
Mm-hmm.
One member chose them as the second instead of the first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I read
Cumulatively, you would go, okay, well, the majority wants to go with GURAS. But when we put the points in, which, to be honest with you, I've never really paid attention to the points. I think we've determined we have a flawed process. That's just, the point thing is not important for us, right? And they are an advisory committee, so I did speak to Kevin today, and Kevin said, no, it's the commission, they can choose whoever we want.
I know that.
Yes, that's how it works.
Right, we didn't have a planning board many times.
Yeah,
I understand that. But if the track record, again, we don't know, maybe we need new blood. If the qualification of K2 is better, what?
Well, it was better by one person.
By one person.
Yeah. And the other two picked GURAS.
Right.
So we're sitting in a weird spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say if we had ever had a problem or an issue with our current grant writer, then yeah, I wouldn't have a problem switching over. But in 6 years, we've never received a single issue, and all grants have been paid in full. I think also, without getting into the proposals themselves, one thing that did set GURAS apart from the other two was in pricing. They gave us people's names with their quantities per hour, but it wasn't never addressed the situation of how much does a grant allow. GURAS says the maximum that they will ever charge is the cost of the grant, what we get for the grant. So we're guaranteed to never have an out-of-pocket expense. The only time that there would be an out-of-pocket expense was they could come back if we had a grant, and y'all know we've done this many times where we got a grant and then all of a sudden we talked the state into giving us more money, we doubled the grant size. Well, in that case, then their fees would double. In a case like that, of course, all those would come before the commission and have to come before y'all for this time. So it's a very weird situation, and we were trying to evaluate it, but just looking at it from the back, two people said GURAS was the best. And staff does have I do have a preference. I've been working with these same people. They're very good. And, switching over to all new personnel and new assignments. Maybe ask them that.
Yeah, the one grading was just way out from the other two. And there's only 3 people, so it's hard to grab behind a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but normally you would do that, come up with a better average that way. But in this case, the grading by one person was so out of line, not out of line, but so different from the other, that it was almost, 33 points difference versus the other ones where it was only 4 and 6 points difference between.
I think we may probably have to start taking these committees and taking their scoring and have them discuss their scoring during the meeting, why they came up with that.
Yeah.
In case they, if somebody's scoring them and say, well, why is there so low?
Or maybe have a talk about the scoring a little bit, so someone didn't get penalized by such a large amount that it affects the overall score.
The issue that we run into, and I'll be real honest with you, is it has to do with bias. If I stand up here, I have to be extremely careful with what I say, because I don't want there to come back and there be, well, there's bias involved in this, you know them, or something like that. And so it becomes very difficult during the process when they're up here of, we need to write some specifications of, okay, well, item number 1, discuss this line. Item number 2, discuss this line. Item number 3, discuss this line. So that, because in most of these, we have a whole pool of people that are randomly chosen to put on there. We always try to put one staff member on there. So if they have any insight. And that makes us very unusual from the other cities, because the other cities, their RFQ committees are all done by staff members. City staff sits on every one of them, and they just choose who they want. And, we've tried to stay away from that. We've always only put one staff member on there, except for after the hurricane, we had all the issues, and so we did actually use commission members on some of those in the beginning. But, now we have a pool of people, we just randomly choose off of them and say, Ashley does that, kind of. And,
You're always gonna have, no matter what you do with this, you're always gonna have an issue.
Yeah, it's
I don't care who it is.
For this one, it's almost like it's like it's a 2-to-1 vote.
Yeah, and maybe that's the way it should be. Look at instead of grading.
Yeah.
Or maybe we look at it in terms of.
They should grade it internally.
So that if there is a time to go.
Here's the issue, is we've never looked at 2-to-1, we've always looked at what is the score. Everything that we've done on this commission is always gone by the score.
But it's never been, we've never had this situation.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that, I know that.
Yeah. We've never had a situation where it swayed so much.
So that's where look at our procedures and see if we need to tweak our process.
Which we were perfect, but we're not. We just gotta.
Well, I'm not trying to
adjust for the future. We just try to adjust in the future.
But I'm just saying is that everything we've ever done is, we've always gone with that score. And sometimes even if they have the score, we up here disagree, on some issues.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing up the discussion. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying is that obviously there's something going on with our system that we need to look at.
Definitely.
And I understand what they've done for us, because I've been up here for all these years. And
we have really good people that do our RFQs for us, and our RFPs and our bids. It's,
But again, I listen to the citizens. How do we know that this company is not going to do better? We don't know.
Or
how could you do better?
Either way.
Yeah. So, anyhow.
Anybody else have anything else to say? Anybody in the audience want to comment? Yes,
ma'am. Karen Custer, 216 Lightning Road Drive. I think basically, Eddie, you're saying if it's not broke, don't fix it. You're working well with the people you have. And since 2 of the people voted for, with keeping that person, it sounds like a good idea to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to say
Kathy Christodoulou, 224 Sakoshi. I was gonna say the same thing, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You're talking about 3 people, but really kind of you're talking about 1, right? Because the other 2 were in more agreement. And I really don't know the details of all this, but yeah, if you guys are happy with it and they've been successful in the past, if you don't get those 3 people up here to explain their decision, then I think you should just go with what you know.
Anybody else? I didn't know if you were just there. Be careful with that, if you're at an auction, you'll be bidding on stuff.
You bought some.
Mr. Bohack?
I'm gonna try something. Paul Bohack, 7010 Mike Lane. And anytime you're dealing with an evaluation where you have outliers, the question is, how much attention do you take to those outliers? It would seem, in the absence of any knowledge regarding the actual substance of the issues that you're discussing, if those numbers are significantly different from those compared to the others within the evaluation, you would theoretically not consider them for inclusion because they are outside what would be considered the normal distribution.
Mr. Bohack, can you give me a standard deviation that you'd like to put on the criteria? Because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Not without
Do a 20% deviation, standard deviation on the mean?
Not without seeing the entire package. Right. But you understand my point.
I do understand your point exactly.
Okay. That would be the approach I would take under these circumstances, because it would be legitimate and reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, you know a standard deviation is only going to be based on the number of samples available.
True. Which is exactly why I'm offering that. Which is exactly why I'm offering you that for consideration.
Thank you, sir.
The only way I could see that you could rectify this was you rate them 1, 2, 3, and that's it. You don't add the extra points, and if you did that, then Gurus wins, and
We'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Process. We'll look at a couple of different ways. And this commission will be the first one to tell you ranking 1 through 5. That often doesn't work very well either.
Right.
We ran into the flip side trying to rank off of who's your 1, 2, and 3.
well, then if it's tied, then you discuss it, you choose. So,
I don't have any problems with War because they have a good track record. I just have a problem.
I understand.
Yeah. I'm with Bob, but it's
It's hard. I just want to make sure I'm completely.
We're asking people to serve.
Yes.
And then we put a hand through it.
They're invited.
And we've done that before, you know.
Did anybody else want to say anything? I'm not missing anybody, am I? Jump up and down with you. Okay.
I mean, you won't talk after me.
Back to us. If anybody has.
I'd like to make a motion to award the grant administration service to Norris.
Second.
Okay. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. So, if there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. And that completes our agenda. Moving on to commission comments. I just had a couple of things. I was lucky enough to be selected again as an honorary commander, so I was inducted about a week and a half ago. And then that same day I helped with a back to school promotion that they were doing at Tyndall. And I also went last week and presented certificates for their quarterly awards. I know it doesn't sound like much, but
Tyndall appreciates it so much. I get so much feedback that they are so appreciative of the support that Callaway shows to Tyndall Air Force Base, that it means a lot to them. So I try to go to anything at Tyndall that I can just to show that we do support them. We know how important that military base is to Callaway. Then the other thing, and I know some of you were there, the health fair that we had here on August the 1st, I think it was pretty well attended. Our leisure services crew did a great job as they always do, and I also want to thank Liz Hunt with Anytime Fitness, and also our LAX Soccer League, because they were the volunteers that were doing, checking people in and doing a lot of the legwork. So thanks to all of them. And that also gave me the opportunity to meet the new principal for Callaway Elementary. And we were talking, and I was talking about we really like to partner with the school if there was anything that we could do to help them. We want to be good partners because that school is important to us. And it came up about the school board's contract for mowing. Mowing all the schools had run out and it was not renewed. The school is the school board's in the process of going out for a new contract, but it hasn't happened yet. So they had a small maintenance crew who doesn't normally have to mow grass. They were trying to do a rotation that each one of the schools, I think there are 32 schools in the district, that each one was getting mowed every once in a while, basically. So there were a couple of the teachers that were actually doing the mowing because they were trying to keep the campus looking good. They had orientation coming up and school starting. So after I spoke to her, I got in touch with city manager and said, hey, the school's got this problem. Can we do anything to help them? Well, he got in touch with the principal, and I don't know if any of you saw it, Channel 13, WMDB did a story about it. He had one of our, I think, public works crew, wasn't it, that went out and mowed?
No, we had our own street department.
A street
crew. We had
street
5
department.
turns and we mowed that whole entire property in 2.5 hours.
WMDB covered it, and I understand Superintendent McQueen called and was very appreciative. So, but that way the school looked good for the kids to start school yesterday.
And we did a lot of pruning too.
So,
We pruned up all their trees and all their bushes while we were out there, just to go ahead and go that extra mile that we knew the mowers wasn't going to do. And it was a really good partnership.
yes.
And the principal and assistant principal were just ecstatic that we showed up.
So we're hopeful that we can work with the schools more. I know we've done events there, and then it kind of got where the school didn't really get in touch with us, so we want to partner more with the school, because that school is very important to this commission, to this city. So, and do you remember, there was a citizen that sent an email, he sent it to me, he also sent it to city manager about it. No, it was a good thing, it was a job that had been some piping that was put in underground someplace, and they were complimenting Chris Griffin and the crew on a good job, and I appreciate that because more often you get the complaints, it's not very often that somebody actually sends an email of appreciation for a job that they did. So that was something else the street department did. So thank you, street department. Keep up the good work. And now we'll go to Commissioner Birdsell, if you have anything for us.
I can't talk much of that, man. I can't talk much of that.
Oh.
No, I've got, I gave some of our citizens over the last few weeks, compliments to the city staff as they've done stuff. We've had some major water breaks due to a contractor in the area, and the city departments that on it, lickety split as something that you might say there. Yeah. I don't really have a whole lot to add up to it. The school is back in session, as you know. I'll be walking the guard across the street, so please don't hit us. Pay attention to that crossing guard.
Yeah, be careful. Commissioner Griggs?
Well, I got some code issues that I'll address with the code enforcement, but, want to add to the school situation that, Superintendent Mark McQueen at First Friday actually looked me up and Commissioner Birdsong to really stress very forcefully how much they appreciate what the city did and is doing, because there's a lot of history, particularly after the hurricane, that we've stepped up, and Mark realizes that. So he was very complimentary to us, and we appreciate that. That's all I've got.
Okay, Commissioner Pelletier.
It's 8:10, thank you.
Commissioner Ayers.
Yes, ma'am. It's been a busy few weeks, answering citizen issues, been working those out. Hopefully, we've got everything answered, and if anybody has anything else, feel free to call. I will jump right on it, I promise. I mentioned earlier, Bay County is adding 3 sand filters, which is raising filtration of our drinking water from 50 million gallons a day to 60 million. So this will not raise our prices any more than they have already. Eddie Cook and I got together several times and went through some of the issues around Callaway, and all those were resolved. I did attend First Friday, where all the stump speeches were given from our new politicians. So I got a chance to meet with several, and I think it's important that we establish good relationships with our new representatives, and hopefully I've done that. And that's all I have.
City clerk, do you have anything for us?
I did want to just let you guys know that we are at 221 bricks. So, you know, basically space for 2 more. If anybody has 2 more that they wanna get a hold of us, but we'll get to working on.
Perfect.
And everything went out here.
I know, if I can help. That's kind of my baby. If I can help, you let me know.
You mentioned.
Well, I can probably look at YouTube and then figure it out.
That's what we do.
Ready? City attorney, do you have anything else for us?
City manager.
All right, I'm gonna be real quick. Cherry Street, got some RFIs done. We've been working primarily between the houses the last 2 weeks. They're forming up concrete sidewalks on the south side going down to Comet. Compaction is where it needs to be, and we're going to continue going on down to Hart. That's where we are. And a couple of potential conflicts, I think we had those situated this morning in our meeting. You know, when we're digging, we just never know what we're going to find down there. So that probably, it's still going. Everybody's still very active. And it looks like we've got approval from the county now. We're just getting that couple of things that they had put into our plan. So once they hit Bertha, they will get started right away. The lift station project for the 5 lift stations, it is complete and it's in closeout, and all 5 lift stations are operational and on our system. So Sandy Creek is still waiting on them to acknowledge that we have acknowledged an indigo snake. That's all I know. Cats chasing the tail. The 3 new grants, I'm waiting on the state to come back. We've fulfilled all their RFIs. We're waiting on them to send us executed contracts. We'll turn those over to the grant administrator, and we'll start that process immediately. Street paving, I know there's a lot of people been questioning that. I want to explain to you some of what we're doing. We can fix small roads. That's easy. Larger 20, 30, 40-foot sections of roads that need to be redone, we put out the paving, we call it a turnkey paving bid, to where we already had significant prices built in. Everything's lower, mobilization is lower, and we have them scheduled to come in on Thursday and Friday. We have approximately, don't ask me how many, I can count them, 6 or 7 major spots that we're working on. Ashley has put it out. SJH Crews is on there. They're going to be milling that probably on Thursday. They'll mill first, clean, and then they'll come back and pave later. But there'll be some minor detours that's going on right now. What we're doing is we're basically cost saving about 75% by doing our base work in-house. So we're going through, we're pulling up the asphalt, we're recompacting, making sure that that subgrade is right. But a lot of people don't realize that we have to match these crowns, and on 20 and 30 foot sections, we have to pull strings, make sure that it's exactly 2 inches all the way across that crown, so that when they come in and they'll just drop the paving machine, pave across the road, we're good to go. So there is going to be a patch on Bertha. That's probably our biggest area of concern, because we don't want to shut down Bertha with a little detour, but we'll have one for one day. The guys will have to go in, pull that section out, get it ready, and then the next day they'll come in and pave. So they're paving Thursday and Friday. They will be complete by Friday, so all roads will be back open come Friday night. We are still actively trying to get on track with all the water replacement, water main, finishing up Gay this week. Then we're going to kick over to Beulah. We'll let everybody know, get ready. We're going to start cutting those lines across Beulah as we drop in. The bids for these, did they go out today?
Yes.
The bids, yeah, for Beulah and for Southgate, both of those paving bids went out today. They'll be out for what, 21 days?
Yes, I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's 21 because it's state appropriations for
Yeah.
Southgate. So that'll go out for 21 days, come back, we'll execute that contract. They'll be coming in and resurfacing both of those roads. So we know the road cuts are a problem. We know that I tell people, I have a lot of people call me up and says, hey, I ran over your hole and I caused damage. And I said, well, then you need to slow down. I'm sorry, that's just what I'm telling them. I mean, everything's got tape and cones and everything else, just slow down. We're trying to make it better so that we never have to go back and dig these roads up 5-10 years down the road. So with those street crossings, we'll be able to do that by putting the chase lines in. If you hadn't, leisure services been painting. How far along are we over here in the? Pretty good. Yeah, so over here in the grand room, we've got all new carpet. We are now painting. Yes, we got rid of the maroon. That has been the biggest issue that we have over here. Everybody that comes in and wants to have a wedding, they go maroon clashes. So we're neutral. We're going with light grays, dark grays. It's actually, some people, depending on how the light shines on it, it's got a little blue hue to it. So the amphitheater, we're working with FPL to get our service line in out here. We're also working with Chris Walker Electric has volunteered his time to do the electric work. And we're working with a distributor that's going to give us a grant to help pay for the materials to keep the cost down. So that'll be going in just as soon as we get our list of materials, and FPL gets us on their schedule. So they've got everything that they need. The amphitheater itself is going to be delivered in, I believe, 2 weeks, maybe 3. And we're working right now trying to figure out how we're going to get construction on that to be the most cost effective. I'll be coming back to you to discuss that at the next meeting on what the best way to move forward is going to be. At FlexNet, we're sitting at like 86%.
You went down?
No, we got to get to 90. We went up. A lot of this, what we found out, is it has to do with our meter changeouts. And as I told y'all, these meters are now getting close to 15 years old, and they're starting to die. So while we've got breaks, we're also trying to change out meters. There for a while, there was not a lot of issues with water breaks. We were doing really good. We were actually in-house running a 3-day turnaround on breaks. The construction crew has got to finish up Gay and get over, so we don't have as many people working breaks right now. So we've pushed that out to 5 to 7 days. Some of them have gone a little bit longer on the smaller ones, and we're diligently trying to, every day they go out, they monitor all the breaks, and I know they did a ton of brake repairs today. So we'll get caught back up on those here pretty quick. I'm really not sure why we had just a huge outbreak over the last week. A lot of those are caused by people driving over our service lines. So that's all I got. As soon as we get the capacity in, I'll get that out to you all immediately. It probably won't take a couple of days.
I just have one comment, City Manager. I discussed with you today about damages that are being created by a specific contractor. And I still like to know if we got that money back on the big break they had, and also if we're pursuing any additional damages that they're creating to our city, because it's not only our city, it's the entire county.
Yeah, and I have talked to some of the other cities.
My understanding you sent a bill on that one, right?
Yes.
Have we received payment?
I don't know if we have yet. I don't know.
We haven't?
Either. I don't think we got it in yet because that gets generated through Public Works, through the work order section. Then that comes in and then it gets billed out. And then the contractor's aware, they know they've already said that's what they have insurance for, it'll be paid.
Then we're gonna go down and take a look at the other one I told you today. That damages down there on Bertha.
Yes, yeah. I have not made it down there yet. My notes from our meeting today are still sitting on my desk.
All right.
Anything else he didn't cover? Anybody? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we'll go ahead and read the announcements. Tomorrow, right here at 1 o'clock, we have a budget workshop. On Sunday, the 16th, the Historical Society meets at 2 p.m. in the museum. The speaker will be Ms. Robbins, continuing her Panhandle Pioneers talk. Then next Tuesday, the 18th, there's a potential, does it look like there will be a planning board meeting?
We will have one.
We will? Okay, so there will be a planning board meeting. No offense, even more important than the planning board meeting, August 18th is voting day for the primary. So make sure you get out and vote, regardless of who you're voting for, get out and vote. And check your voter ID card because since we moved to election, this is not the only polling place for Callaway. Some people vote here, some people will vote at the community center. That is correct even for the primary, isn't it, Ashley?
Yes.
That some people will vote at the community center. So check your card and make sure that you know where to go vote. Because if you come here to vote and you're not supposed to, they'll send you down there. So try to check it before you waste a trip to the wrong place. And then our next commission meeting will be August 25th, right here at 6 o'clock. Anybody know of anything else?
After tomorrow's budget workshop is also
Yes.
the 25th at 1 p.m.
Yes, if we need to have a continued budget workshop, that will pick up at 1 o'clock on August 25th. It will be in the afternoon for probably like 1 to 4, and then we'll break for the commission meeting. If we're lucky and we get through a lot tomorrow, we may not need another budget workshop. So we'll know that at the conclusion of tomorrow's budget workshop. We'll put out if there's going to be another budget workshop on the 25th. So that's all that I'm aware of. If nobody has anything, we'll open it up for public participation. Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Christou, 224 Sakoshi Drive. So where are we on the plan for maintaining the Sakoshi Bridge?
I haven't looked at it yet.
Would it be possible for the city to hire a company that could come in and maintain that ditch if the city can't do it and the county can't do it or won't do it? It has to be done.
Bill, do you even know anybody, is there a company that could do it? I don't even have a clue.
Very expensive.
It's gonna end up being, it would have to be probably.
It's gonna have to be a budget item, number one.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we're probably looking at buku money.
Is it our ditch?
We have an easement, yeah.
But part of it's the county's too.
Yeah.
Well, the
I've
county
been
said no.
I've been trying to schedule some time with the sheriff to see
Yeah.
if his crews would even consider going in there and doing it. I'll try to call him down again.
Because we can move our, we put pipes down, whether we have somebody come out once a year and clear out all the trees and then, I don't know.
I can promise you pipe that ditch would be the worst thing that can happen. Because whatever size pipe you get in there, you're gonna get 50% runoff for it. So a 24-inch pipe will carry 12 inches of water. It's the hydraulics. So by having an open ditch, 100% of the water can.
But it only moves up until that point where it's a small tunnel that was laid and trailers put on top of it, and then it backs up.
How big are those pipes that you're doing, do you even know? Underneath that trailer?
Yeah, they're big ones.
I was about to say, there's
Across the Kofi.
because I know we've actually had, I know at one point we had an employee come through it, didn't they?
Yeah. So 48 inches.
It's what?
48 inches?
Yeah. I'll contact the sheriff tomorrow and see. I don't know that they'll
No, I
consider.
have not looked at the ditch, so I don't know. But she talks about trees falling in. Can we cut down the trees before they fall in? Is that feasible? I mean, you
At
can
this
get
point,
to
we
trees.
don't even have access to the ditch.
Okay.
That's enough.
So you can't get
That
to the
trailer,
trees.
the trailers are just so far in there. I mean, if we can get equipment in there, it might be a possibility, but there's just.
And you might want to look at the trailers, whether they're back far enough, because I don't think they are. There's one that's almost over the ditch. So code enforcement might want to knock on some doors there and get that to where you can actually have access. Because we were told to move our fence back so y'all could have access. And we did, but we can move it further to give you more access. But it's a problem that has to be fixed one way or the other. And I watched y'all on the recording, we were out of state, and y'all didn't talk about it last time either. So we're just gonna keep coming until we solve the problem.
I'll contact sheriff tomorrow and see what we can do. And we can, Bill, come see me in the morning, I'm gonna brainstorm.
Sure thing.
I just don't know. Yeah, no, later.
When you guys go down there, I'd like to go with you.
Sure.
Again, I've been down there.
No.
It's been a while since it's been a minute, as they say.
There's a couple of places where we get to the ditch, but it's so steep down, we can't move it.
You can fall in it like we did. Not in
You make a slide.
Maybe we can use Commissioner Chris on the move.
There you go.
Maybe.
Would anybody else like to speak? Ms. Bester, and Ms. Langston.
Karen Presser, you have my address. You mentioned that the elections, the primary election is on Tuesday, and actually early voting is going on right now. And early voting is, I believe, from 10 to 6 every day through Sunday, and then it closes down on Monday for the election Tuesday. Every registered voter can vote for the school board election. They can't vote for the other ones if they're not in the two main parties, but they can vote for school board.
Well, but then there's also the state offices. I mean, there are several.
I think most of those are, well, anyway, people think they can, if they're not this or that they can't vote. And I've been telling them, no, you can vote for school board, absolutely, in Bay County. And District 2 and District 3 school board positions are open right now. We are in District 2. And so everybody can vote for District 2 and District 3, not just your own district. But please, it's important, get out and vote, your vote counts. And I did want to mention that for the first time in a long time, we actually have a candidate for school board who cared enough to come tonight, so thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Ms. Langston, I'm sorry.
I just want to say that I know I give you guys a lot of slack week after week at the meetings, but I do appreciate the city stepping out and helping Galloway elementary out. It's nice that our city supports our schools. Doesn't seem like school board does a lot. I think we kind of do a little more than what the school board does.
So I know I had even suggested to the teacher when she said the teachers were I said, well, if the school board's not going to approve a contract, maybe they need to come to some Nolan.
Right. That I do appreciate it, so.
Well, you're welcome. We're glad to work with the school. We want to do as much as they'll let us do. Anybody else? I don't see anybody.
You said there's a member, candidate for the school board here tonight.
Yes.
Did you see me?
Am I allowed to speak?
See me after.
Can you just say, please vote?
Well, you're really not supposed to campaign at a meeting, so you can get up and say who you are and that you're running for an office. But then Commissioner Briggs wanted to talk to you after the meeting.
Michael Petty, 305 South MacArthur. The one thing I do want to say is when you were called to give a comment, you said 8:10. I looked at my watch. It was 8:10. It is now 8:35. That is fantastic. The fact that you all have a 6 o'clock school board, city commission meeting, that's what I would like to see the school board do. Have the meetings in the evening so that the public can be here instead of at 1 or 3 o'clock. If I may, how many are just here for the meeting? You don't work for the city, you don't have a piece of business. Wow. And you don't have a complaint. That's just my heart. That's really the only thing I have to say. I appreciate it all. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Everybody good with adjourning? Okay, thank you all.